That was the father of Marine Staff Sergeant David Allen Wyatt, one of the 5 brave men killed in the terror attack we saw in Chattanooga last week. Men who were unable to defend themselves thanks to regulations that keep guns off of military installations. A single harrowing image now summing up the outrage over that policy, as a no firearms sign at one of the crime scenes stands riddled by gunfire, a product of a regulation that left everyone inside as sitting ducks. Folks like this man have now gone so far as to stand guard at recruiting stations on his day off, while the DOD is reacting a different way, suggesting that Marines consider ditching their uniforms in order to avoid being targets. Tell that to this 5-year-old boy, the son of a deployed Marine who showed up in Tennessee this weekend wearing a uniform just like Dad's. Dakota Meyer is a U.S. Marine Corps veteran and Medal of Honor recipient. Congressman Duncan is also a Marine combat veteran and a member of the House Armed Services Committee. He's introducing a bill tomorrow to help these men and women protect themselves. Gentlemen, thank you both for your service and for being here. Dakota, thank you. I'll start with you. So our viewers know, you are the only, I just want to get the language right, the first living Marine in 38 years to be honored as you have been with the Medal of Honor. Your service to our country has been extraordinary, and here's the videotape of you with the president in 2011. Your reaction to this suggestion that the folks at these recruiting centers not wear their uniforms to stay safe?
I think that's the craziest thing ever. You know, terrorism is when people come over and they instill fear inside of people to where they change their way of life, and that's how terrorism wins, and that's how it grows. And I can tell you the last thing that I would hope that any Marine would do is take their uniform off because they're a fear of something might happen. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy to even think that way. What we need to do is we need to give them the opportunity to be able to carry their own firearms. I mean, you know, they tied our hands over in Iraq and Afghanistan with rules of engagement. Are they going to do it over here too?
Walk us through it. What would a Marine, what would the reaction be in this moment when you are a Marine, you are in your uniform, you normally have your weapon, only here you may not have that, and now you may not have your uniform. I mean, what does that feel like to a Marine?
It's not happening. I'll just tell you, it's not happening. They're not going to take their uniform off. I mean, when are we going to start standing up to what's right? You know, when are we going to stop worrying about hurting people's feelings, and we don't want to say the wrong thing to insult them? Look, this isn't about, it's not about Muslims, it's not about Christians, it's not about any of that, it's not about religion, it's not about color or skin color, it's about a belief in order to hurt other people and to instill terrorism. It's a belief of this radical Islam, and when are we going to stand for it? When are we going to stand against it? When are we going to stop it? When are we going to do that instead of changing our way of life? Well, we don't want to hurt their feelings, or it's only a lone wolf. No, it's not a lone wolf. This has happened over 20 times to where service members have been killed. When is it going to stop?
Congressman Hunter, you have a different idea in terms of how to keep our men and women safe. Tell us what it is.
Yeah, and I think this is going to happen more and more, Megyn. Well, it's pretty simple. Number one, if you have civilians guarding military personnel, because we've disarmed our military personnel, that's a sad state of affairs.
It's crazy. Isn't it crazy to think about the civilians standing out there with their firearms while the Marines have none?
Yeah, so let's do this. Let's give every staff non-commissioned officer or officer who's trained in the 9mm pistol, let's let them carry one. Keep it in the building, and if they can't do that, if the state or the city code says that you're not allowed to have weapons, then let's at least have what me, as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives, is required to have in my district office. And that's an entryway, like an entry control point where you have to push a button to let people in. Let's at least do that. You know, let's not just say we're not going to wear uniforms, we're going to close the blinds, we're going to huddle in our recruiting centers and you know, wait for the bad guys to come.
But you know, Dakota,
hey,
the reason they're doing
shops
this
have security guards at the mall.
But the reason they're doing this, Dakota, is because they say they want to keep, at least for the time being, they want to take an immediate action to keep the men and women safe. And right now, they aren't.
I mean, why not? I mean, why does it matter where we can carry guns and where we can't? Look, what do all these people who don't want us to carry guns do when they have a problem or they have an issue? They call people with guns. So, you know, why can we not carry? If we're in uniform, why can we not carry? Why can't we carry?
I mean, there was a law passed by President George, or signed into law by President George Bush the elder, and it's been on the books for years. But the question is, Congressman, that was a long time ago, and it was before we were being targeted on the homeland, specifically with threats to military men and women at their recruiting installations.
Right. You know, if you would have mentioned the Patriot Act or the NSA pre-9/11 and say we need something like that, people would say that you're nuts. If you talk about it now, people understand, yes, there's a definite need for that now. Same thing here. I mean, the radical Islam is going to strike these soft targets over and over and over again. You're going to have probably members of Congress getting shot. You're going to have people in the recruiting centers being shot, being blown up. Anything that they can do to strike at what they see as representing American values and American patriotism, that's where the radical jihadists are going to strike. So let's make it tough for them. Let's make sure that there's a Marine staff non-commissioned officer in the recruiting center who's heard gunfire before and who ran towards the sound of gunfire, not away from it. So let's have him sitting there for Muhammad whoever when they come to the recruiting center next time. That's what we need to do. We at least have to instill some question mark in the jihadist's head, some fear of some sort that if they go busting in to this recruiting center, they might get shot in the face.
They know the rules, prohibit the firearms. They see the big sticker on the window saying no guns allowed, and they see these men and women, as I said, like sitting ducks. Guys, thank you so much. It's great to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there are some dramatic new developments tonight with that bombshell undercover video of a top doctor from Planned Parenthood talking about harvesting fetal organs for